Well, I'd like to think that the experience of that game, tells guys you're only as good as your next performance, your next practice, your next drill, and with some younger players, and hopefully that lesson's been learned. But it's an everyday reminder. It's an everyday process, and us, being ready to practice every single day. I thought we had a great practice yesterday, which was a big fear of mine coming in. With everybody telling you how good you are, but I thought our guys were locked in. It was a very competitive practice, and hopefully we'll have another one today.
How much of a relief was it to see a couple threes drop for Karim finally? Because that was obviously, a sizable part of what you wanted to get out of him when you went out.
I mean, maybe for him. For me, I don't worry about it. Didn't worry about it. As long as our offense is producing, really good looks and really good shots, and they're taken within the context of getting them earned. I don't want to say I don't care if they go in, but a lot of times that'll lead to offensive rebounding and just that team togetherness. If a guy takes a really good shot, you're never going to have a teammate taking a bad shot the next possession because a guy took a good one. So I don't necessarily worry about the result, just the earning process and getting the shot. And it's good to see for his own personal stake, because I know it means a lot to him.
Tyreek didn't play most of the second half and looked like he was in pain. How is he doing, and what's ailing him?
Man, I think just talking to Flukes, it's more of a tendonitis thing. Anybody that's played basketball goes through tendonitis in your patella tendon, from all the jumping and cutting and having to get loose and warm and ready every single day. So it was sort of surprising that he couldn't go back in. We're going to have to keep an eye on it, and fortunately we have a deep enough team. I think that he doesn't have to be out there for 40 minutes, but he's definitely a big part of things. So hopefully we can get him on the right track.
Does it keep him out of practices, and is it something that you just kind of have to stretch to get better?
At times it's kept him out of some practices. It's kept him out of certain drills. Flukes is the one that ultimately will pull him or not. We just got to keep an eye on it. As far as what he needs to do to get it better, I don't know. That's not my area of expertise.
Chris, you've said numerous times, and I think anyone understands this, freshmen are going to have ups and downs throughout the season, their freshman year. We haven't seen a ton of Elias lately. Can you just talk to us about where he's at in terms of getting acclimated to this level of college basketball?
Yeah, I mean, Elias just needs to get stronger. He's a really skilled player. He can shoot the ball, he can shoot the pull-up, he can shoot the three. And, a lot of times when you're a really good shooter, when you're a freshman, you don't get in as much. Probably the first thing that starts to go away a little bit is your confidence. And, I hope Elias knows this, because I try to remind him as often as I can that, I have a lot of confidence in him. He's playing behind two, all Big East caliber players, and Trayvon and JP, who are playing very well. We've played in some really, really tight games. Generally coaches don't play 10, 11 guys. So, nothing is cemented. If Elias continues on the progressive path that I think he's on, he's gonna have a really good career for us. And the only thing you can control as a player are two things: your effort and your attitude. And he's had a great attitude so far, and hopefully the effort will be there. And if he continues to get bigger and stronger, I think that'll help his transition to college.
So it's safe to say he's bought in.
Yeah, but I mean, buying in's a daily thing, and not just for Elias. That's everybody. So, yeah, absolutely.
Kent State's a much different looking team than the last one you faced. I don't know the status of Jalen Walker since he's been out with a sprained ankle, but what kind of challenges do you face, or do they bring to the table?
They have some talent. I mean, don't kid yourself. They have some guys that maybe weren't there a year or two ago, and are just trying to come together as a group. But they've got a 7-footer in De La Rosa that they pound the ball, high-low looks to. He'll be the biggest player that we've faced thus far. You mentioned Jalen Walker. He's a guy that can score it any way you want. He's an all-MAC, MAC Player of the Year type candidate. They've got a point guard from this area who has a phenomenal assist-turnover ratio. So Rob does a really good job with his team. And, they've had some guys injured, sort of shuffled some lineups. So hopefully we can catch him before they get everything, how he wants it and rectified.
Chris, this question is not to do with your resume, but I wonder if through 8 games as a total package, is your team about where you thought they would be, or maybe lacking in some areas, ahead of schedule in others? How would you evaluate the total package?
I don't know, because I don't ever predict how I think we'll look. I just coach to how I want them to look, and then we make adjustments from there. So it'd be a tough question to answer, but we've got a long way to go. I think there's some areas that we can get a lot better at, and hopefully our team recognizes that, and we continue to move forward and progress.
What are some of those areas you really want to see some improvements in the near future?
Well, I think we've had possessions, back to back to back where we'll take an errant shot, or we'll turn the ball over and make a boneheaded play, and then confound it by not getting back on defense. And I've seen more 1-on-0 layups and 2-on-1 situations because of our turnovers than I have in the last 7-8 years that I've coached. And so that can kill you against in 1 or 2 possession games. The air can go out of the building very quickly, and you can find yourself on the wrong end of the stick. So for us, it's just trying to shore that up, and every decision that you make on the floor is important. Whether it's in the first possession of the game or the last or anywhere in between, every one, because it forms habits of who you are, and that's what we have to get better at, in my opinion.
Chris, with just you and I have talked about in the past dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds and some of the mental challenges that come with that. After an emotional game, talking about on the court, an emotional game like Saturday, how do you flush that out of their system and get them focused for the task at hand this week?
Well, I don't know if it gets flushed out of the system. I just know that we worry about practice as coaches. The very next time we're on the floor with our guys, we want it to be a competitive environment, and I tell them all the time that we need to earn the right to be good today and tomorrow, and I think we have a team that's looking forward to the next challenge. It's a great win for our program, no doubt, but as sure as everybody's talking about you, they could be the other way in 2 or 3 days. So we understand that, and I think that's why our practices have been competitive, and hopefully we're at a high level competing tomorrow night.
I don't know that you have a lot of free time, but have you paid a lot of attention to what's going on around the Big East in terms of some big wins that teams like Seton Hall have had, and just maybe the caliber of non-conference victories of other peers?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily, we're not scouting them or anything, but yeah, you keep an eye on, your fellow league members and see how they're doing, but I don't know how the numbers would compare to a year ago. I don't really get concerned with that. I just, want to have a sort of an overview of who I think each team is in the league, and how they're playing, and who's playing well for them. But we more or less focus on our own team and then our next opponent. But yeah, everybody I think in our league probably has an eye on everyone else.